Now, no fewer than 106 shops, including two banks, are now biting their fingers following the closure of their businesses by the Enugu state government for complying with Monday's sit-at-home order initiated by the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra. Now, Governor Peter Mbah says all affected businesses will remain shut for 1 week, following which the government would consider whether to reopen them on certain conditions or sell them off entirely. Now, the governor, in a statement by the secretary to the state government, Professor Chidie Bere Onya, said 106 shops and two banks were sealed on Monday by officials of the Enugu State Capital Territory Development Authority. Onya, who led the exercise on Monday, said the action was in line with the governor's warning, adding that Mbah's intention was not to punish businesses, but to encourage and inculcate the spirit of no seat at home in traders. Oya said the sealing of the businesses was not punitive, but ownership culture, where all of us come together to fight the menace of the illegal sit at home in the state. He also added that a task force created by the state government would be in the markets next Monday to continue to monitor the situation. Governor Mbah on June 5 banned the Monday sit-at-home in the state, saying it was hurting the economy. And of course, in order for us to extemporate on this morning is we will have some analysts who will be joining us virtually to talk deeper into this. And that's in person of Nelson Ekujumi, who is a public affairs analyst, as well as John Akirile, who is, of course, a political enthusiast, a social affairs commentator as well. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to VOP this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. For having me. Nelson Ekujimi, I'm going to start off with you. Is it surprising that after the state governor, asked its citizens to open their shops, regardless of the warning by these supposed unknown gunmen for them not to open their shops, that they obey the unknown gunmen rather than obeying the state governor? Is it surprising? I'll start off with you, Nelson. I called your name. I said I will start off with you, Nelson Ekujimi.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Well, it's a culture that has lived people in that region of Nigeria for quite a while. And, if somebody has become used to an attitude, you cannot just expect him to get out of that mood in a jiffy. He or she needs, some kind of orientation to bring him out of, that consciousness. So for me, the sit-at-home culture by the people of the Southeast in deference to the terrorist group IPOB, is something that, the rest of Nigerians are, they are alarmed about, because we have seen this conduct become a recurring decimal. So I don't think the closing of those shops by the governor should be what should be the punishment. Rather, one expects that the government will pass a law, or have a roundtable discussion, using the State House of Assembly to generate people's consciousness towards this move of government, and that a law should be in place. So, because right now, I want to ask: is it that this locking up of the shops and the banks is as a result of the governor's pronouncement, or is it of an existing law in the state? So for me, I'm shocked that the government, because I know that the governor, since assuming office, has been trying to take the people out of that fear, or maybe compliance and submission to a non-state terrorist group. So for me, I think there's more that needs to be done than closing these shops and the banks by the governor or any other big.
All right, John Okerele, this question is for you. So apparently, IPOB distanced itself from the sealing up of shops, in most of the states within the Southeast, and they say only Monday is the only day that they, talk about the whole sit at home. But the faction of a supposed individual who is outside the country is one insisting that, no businesses until Nnamdi Kanu is released. But the fact is this: is it possible that they do not trust the government to provide the necessary security, and that's why they went ahead to not be part of, opening their shops or going about their normal activities because in time past, government has not been there for them. Could that be one strong possibility for the refusal to open the shops?
Thank you for having me this morning. I think we should give a background to this discourse
Okay.
so that we can help our viewers understand where the Southeasterners are coming from,
Okay.
uh, and where they ought to be. If you look at the agitation of Nnamdi Kanu and the burning from the southeastern part of the country, the sit at home has been something that has been with them for a very long time. And it is owing to the fact that their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, is in detention and he should be released to them. Now, this was the genesis, but here we are, it has transformed into an Hydra-headed situation where you have different factions of the same group, giving their names a different name in terms of ESN, in terms of IPOP members, in terms of different faction of IPOP members. And so they all have different reasons, but now it's coming to us as a people that these are the same set of people, but now they have different objectives. So they still come under the umbrella of saying the sit at home should come. Now, for the government, before these people sit at home, what was happening to them? They are being killed, their businesses being burnt down, and they use those ones who are killed and businesses burned down as a strong signal to the people of the Southeast that come, guys, we've been in order to sit at home. We are not playing, we are not joking, we are serious with it, and you must comply with this order. Now, yet woman in Onitsha market who knows that a fellow market woman was killed by these guys because they defied the order of sit at home. A bank whose structure was burnt and they are vandalized because they defied the order of sit at home. What did the government do to these people? Is there any form of compensation to the banks that were burnt during that era? The answer is no. And so I think what the government ought to do is not to clamp down on these people to use that show of force on the people. Rather, the show of force should be on these non-state actors who have, made legitimate force in the southeastern part of the country. And I think what they should do again is to buy back the trust of the Southeasterners, that they don't sit at home on Mondays. And how do you do that? Is to make sure that every length and breadth of their business environment is secured and thoroughly secured to the teeth. And that is when they can have that trust. That, okay, we went to store on Monday, we were open our shops on Monday, we had businesses on Monday, and we were safe all through, and nothing happened to us. Nobody came, shoot us down or burnt down our offices or our staff being attacked, So when one of such occurrences now comes from about 4 Mondays consecutively, without any obstruction, without any, disruption, then the government is sending a signal to people that sit at home no longer holds in the Southeast. Not by locking down shops, because if you lock down shops and you're able to safeguard the people and their businesses and their source of livelihood, I think we are just joking. So what we should do is to reinforce the trust of the people by showing them visible evidence that there is enough security architecture in place for them to go about their businesses in all states of the Southeastern. And I think it is time for all the Southeastern governors to come together and look at how they can tighten their security measures as far as their business areas is concerned. Because let me not lie to you, sit at home is to target the economy of the Southeast. And so for the economy of the Southeast to thrive, there should be adequate security for that section of, where the start-home order is to be effected. And if that place is totally secured, people who are going to transact businesses have the confidence that they are going to do that in a secure environment. Business owners, even banks, can open their doors because they know now that they are in a secure environment. But if government do not put that in place, don't lock down shops. I think it is right thing, but wrongdoing, wrong path. And I think that should be corrected.
Thank you, John. And now, Seneca Jimmy. So the situation in the South has actually rendered the economy almost blank. Businesses are no longer thriving as they should. Investors are no longer interested in going to the Southeast because they cannot be assured of proper security. And the clamor of this unknown gunmen is literally crippling almost every opportunity for investment and businesses to thrive. Now, do you think the problem here is that there is a lack of orientation, Could it also be that there is a lackadaisical attitude of the governors in the southeast to ensure that there is proper security, whereby regardless of these supposed gunmen, persons can trust the government to go about their activities? Unmute your mic, please, Nelson. I can
Okay.
hear you. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead. I can
Thank
hear
you
you now.
once again. I think the reasons for this is, it's multifaceted.
Okay.
It's not only the government, even the people have their own share of the blame.
Okay.
Because when these, nuances started, the people themselves bought into it because they felt they were fighting against the government of former President Muhammadu Buhari. And today, they are stewing in their juice. They were all complicit in breeding this monster of an IPOB. I wonder why you are calling them unknown government. This is a terrorist group that has been, globally defined as a terrorist group and has been proscribed in
No,
Nigeria.
the reason
So
why
the
I
people
said so is
themselves,
that the IPOP have distanced themselves from the consistent seated homes. So apparently there's a faction of this individual who is outside the country whom these guys are listening to. That's basically the aspect I'm referring to.
well, the truth of the matter is that, when you allow, like they say, teaching time saves nine. When you allow, like we say in my own part of the country, that when a big problem puts you down, small ones will come and join to hold you down, hold you hostage. So when this, mess started in the southeast because of political agitation, it was not about the interest of the people. It was about the political interest of Nnamdi Kanu and just some few group of his persons. Because like I think I was on your station and we all recollected that, in 2015, 2011, Nnamdi Kanu was all over the place campaigning for the PDP, only for his party to lose in 2015 general election. And Nnamdi Kanu, with some cohorts, declared war against the then government. And, they started an action that was, to fool and hoodwink the people. And the people bought into it. And it took a lot of, false messages, propaganda, lies, falsehood, and the people, swam along with him. And today it has become, a mess that the people themselves are confused out of it. And also the political leadership in the Southeast, including the governors that you mentioned, they bought into it, except I think the state of Ebonyi that resisted it. And when they tried to make an incursion into River State, they got a bloodied nose and they ran out. So the authorities in the Southeast are complicit, just like these people. I told you when I was in your station that the other time, when a version of the terrorist group led by Nnamdi Kanu returned in the Southwest, people of my region, we all came out and said, no, you rascals, you miscreants cannot, lead agitations on our behalf. As I'm talking to you, I'm an educated person. You talk about the leader of the group then, who was claiming they were fighting for Yoruba nation. As a Yoruba man, I publicly went on the media space, told him that you cannot fight for the Yoruba nation of which I'm a part of, because we have not appointed you, we have not elected you, we have not nominated you. This is a man that cannot write the first letter in his name called Sunday. He doesn't know how to write S on a sheet of paper. So that you can imagine that type of insult, that such character being sponsored by some, undesirable elements, agents of destabilization, will come and tell me in a society where I live that he want to fight for my rights. Then if I can submit to such characters, then it means my existence as a being, as somebody who has seen the four walls of a university, is a waste. And that my parents, did me a great disservice by trying to make me a better human being by, availing me education. So what is happening in the Southeast today, what they were all conspirators to. And the only way to get them out of it is for them all to sit down and tell themselves the hard facts. Because just like Boko Haram, if you recollect, Boko Haram became factionalized. We had various factions. And that is what happens when you allow criminals to assume political leadership. Factions will break up because they're always looking for power to share spoils. They're not about your development. It's about what we will get from you in terms of money and all what have you. And that is where we are today. So it's not about whether the people alone or maybe the leadership didn't provide the necessary. It is about collective failure, the
All right.
people and the leadership. Because your other guest talked about securing the whole. How many security personnel do you have that can secure the Southeast as you? The people of
All
the
right.
Southeast are the best security for the Southeast. If they wake up this morning and say no more to this, lawlessness by this terrorist group, it will be all over. But so long as they continue to pamper them and speak from both sides of the mouth, we'll continue to be in this.
All right. John Akere, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. I'm
Yes,
here.
John. You made some vital recommendations, the last time you responded. And again, I want to reiterate on the fact that Nelson Akujimi says that it's a collective responsibility between the leadership of the Southeasterners and, the people themselves. But again, I want to reiterate on the aspect of orientation. There's this picture that has been painted. You have a lot of young persons who are ineffectively, redundant in vital areas of the Southeast. A couple of them are not going to school. A couple of them really do not have any skill to utilize, possibly be responsible in whatever capacity they have to. So they have reclined into being part of these terrorist group. And it almost feels like there is an induction on every young boy or young lady to be part of that activity because of a certain brainwashing. I'm asking this because you raised some vital points when you said the problem of the Southeast has been long coming. The whole marginalization, the whole isolation, and all of that, which is quite understandable. But it has become a criminal activity where they suppress people from going about their activities, even if there's a clamor for change. So, the question I want to ask you, John, is this: what should be done as soon as possible within now? Because like we talked about earlier, that the economy of the Southeast is literally going down the drain and it's not going to help at all.
Thank you for that question. And also thank Kunjimi for his own responses. I think we should go in this way and light. If we talk about the southeastern states, I'll give you a case of Abia as an example.
Okay.
Abia is known to be the God's own state, but Abia is also one of the poorest states in terms of education. Where there is a vast land, but the people are not really getting the supposed education that they ought to get. And that calls to the failure of leadership. And I say that Southeast problem should be solved by Southeasterners. I think the leaders are the problems. We have senators, we have House of Rep members, we have House of Assembly members who are representing constituencies. And these constituencies is a makeup of some villages, some words, and before you know it, a unit is formed, the constituency is formed. Now, do these people even go back to their constituents, to give a feedback as to what they are representing them for, either in Abuja or at the federal level? But you see that these people are a result of consecutive neglect over the years. If you look at from the era of T.A. Oji to the era of Oji Zokalu to the other of Theodore Oji, and the likes of all of them, they are still in the corridors of power in Abia State today, and you can record either zero progress in terms of development in Abia State. And so will you say that's a problem of other people? No. The governor is a Southeasterner, the senators are Southeasterners, and these guys have shown affluence, they've shown wealth, but the people, the downtrodden people in the Southeastern have shown poverty, they've shown illiteracy, and these are some of the areas that these guys are looking as a loophole to take advantage of the people. Now, if you also look at it, that some of them are not students of the history, they don't even know how the Southeasterners came to be, they don't even know about the Biafran War. They don't know about it. And so they are too lazy intellectually to make fine as to the kind of people they are, their origin, their culture, and what they stand for. Rather, they tend to listen to a concocted script by one individual. And I think that is why you can have that in the Yoruba area of Nigeria, because they are most educated people. And so if you give something to a Yoruba man, you want to check it twice and tell you this is why I cannot stand with you on this, even if you speak the same language. So I think the political leaders, the political class have always
John, are
exploited.
you sure? You recall that about a month or 2 months ago, a radio station was taken over by a group of individuals, you know, in Ogun State who say that they are fighting for Yoruba agitation. What would you say to that? I think that was when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently assumed his position as a president.
I think if you pick up these so-called people that ransack the radio station and you dissect them very well, you agree with me that there's an undertone of illiteracy, there's an undertone of not having the full information. You cannot see me on the street and tell me to do some things. I
That,
will
that's
just tell you
that's
that
that's the reason why I referred you when you say you can't say Yoruba man, because these elements can happen with anyone. It's about orientation. It's about education. That's
Esther,
basically why I made that
Esther,
reference.
my point here. Let's
Esther,
not go the ethnic line.
they
My
were
point
arrested.
is
They
that
yes, they were arrested. Of course, they were. They were arrested. Yes.
It was because of the vigilance of the people now.
So why
But
haven't these
when
guys
people
been
commit
arrested?
atrocities like that, Esther, when people commit atrocities like that in another part of the country, and you see videos of and clapping for them, how do you feel as a law-abiding
So
citizen?
that's what I'm
You
asking.
feel
I
very
said, why
sad.
haven't these individuals in the Southeast been arrested? Because that is why these individuals, that is why the people can't come out and open their shops despite the government assuring them that there is security. Why haven't they been arrested? What exactly is the problem? Is that
Esther,
there's no security intelligence
Esther,
to address these individuals?
like John rightly said, you must lay the premise. They didn't just arrive here today. It was a gradual process, become a way of life. So if they have allowed this, if they had nipped this thing in the bud earlier on, we won't be here saying this. But because they were clapping for them, they were calling them some, beautiful names. And that is why we are here today. Even on my streets where I live, where we have vigilante, when they arrest an alleged criminal, we residents will come out, we interrogate. We won't say because we have appointed you or entrusted you to provide security for us. So whatever you bring to us, then we'll run with it. We are human beings. We are not animals. That's why we're a higher animal. You subject things to fact, to verification. Human beings are funny. Human beings can deceive you. The man that they have arrested and told you that is a criminal, it could be somebody that, maybe is trying to lure one of the security officers, girlfriend or maybe wife, or he has done something personal against him and he want to vent, vengeance against him. So that is why we have the law enforcement agents that you investigate. And as citizens, we also on our part must do our investigation. This agitation, this clamor, I'll do an history check. Is it in our collective interest or is for a few people that they want to, who doing cause to align with, their fraudulent claims? That is what people should do. And that is why I'm telling you today, any Nigerian or anywhere in the world, citizens' responsibility is also part of providing security. And citizen responsibility is saying something when you see something. It's not about keeping mute. You've seen when these guys are arrested, the police authorities will always appeal to the people that they should give them information. The security agencies are not ghosts, they are not spirits, they are human beings. If you don't give them information, they will not be able to do their job efficiently. That's my take on it.
All right, Nelson, thank you. John, so it happens to be that a large marginal number of young persons no longer reside in the Southeast, possibly because of the no business opportunity or the fact that businesses are literally just redundant. Nothing active is happening and they're not making any money. So they've left to other states, across the federation. But you would hear these individuals, make statements as to, oh, some are in support of, the whole sit at home, while a lot of people, considering the fact that these guys have become criminals, are no longer in support. But do you think there's now a mental suppression on those in the Southeast not to fight back? Because like Nelson Ekujime said it's a collective responsibility. The people themselves can fight these people. They can say, we're no longer interested in whatever it is you're doing. So why are we seeing a situation where there's a lackluster attitude from the people towards this unknown gunman who has made the Southeast, possibly inhabitable? Why are we saying that? What exactly happened to the individuals residing there where they've not taken it upon themselves to become, the neighbors, to protect themselves afterwards?
I think I will respond to your question in this regard and in this light.
Okay.
In the southeast, we have the urban and the rural area. So the rural area is the most neglected part of the southeastern people, and that's where you have majority of this chunk of young people who are vulnerable, and that's
Hello, Nelson. Okay, we seem to be experiencing a network glitch there. Nelson, can you hear me? Okay, quite an interesting conversation that we're having on the program this morning, and it's quite a lot if we need to analyze it, because the problem is not something that we can try to analyze or talk about. I was actually watching a particular program, or rather listening to a program, and I heard a couple of people who are supposedly in support of what these individuals supposedly are committed in the southeast, but apparently a large chunk of people are not in support of it. So what is the difference between fighting for a cause and being illogical, unstrategic, unreasonable about a cause? That's the question. Are you fighting a cause to help revolutionize? Are you fighting a cause to help your people develop, to move forward? Or are you fighting a cause basically just for yourself, while you truncate economic activities, you make potential investors, uninterested in coming to your community to do anything? And then, like, John and Nelson Ekujimi have asked, they've asked pertinent questions. The governors there, the House of Representative members, are they in these states, in these communities, to do the needful? Or they're actually, doing whatever they're doing from Abuja? Because you can hear, for example, in Imo State, most of the time, the governor is in Abuja, just comes to the states, does one or two things, and goes back. So when there is no presence of leadership in most of these communities, how do you curb the menace? How do you fight out, the weed? How do you make the state progress? I'd like to actually hear from you in the comment section on YouTube channel, if you are watching VOP this morning, on what you think and what are the developmental strides that can be implemented by either the state government or possibly the House of Representative members who represent these various constituencies. Like John was asking, apparently it feels like the individuals themselves, especially in the rural community, are the ones possibly more responsible for the mayhem in the southeast. John, are you back with us? Or Nelson, anyone at all? All right, we'll take a very short break, and then when we come back, we will continue on this. But if there is no time, we'll go into the second segment of VOP this morning.